Hi everyone, I'm doing a video today. I'm gonna try and do a couple. So this one is gonna be current events, and they're really not that current, but we'll go through some current events and just see if we can find anything. Monday morning, Monday morning. Although a lot of us love to think that something might happen Monday morning, usually doesn't. Usually we're looking like between Tuesday and Thursday, sort of like the revaluation crew. Everybody that's looking to reevaluate their money. Nothing seems to ever happen on a Sunday. Saturday's pretty slow news day. Thursday and Friday are usually interesting. Tuesday, Wednesdays are interesting. Monday, not so much. Monday morning here in Ventura, trying to get some rain. We're in a drought, forced drought by the Illuminati, and they chemtrail and with aluminium and barium, and those are and a bunch of other bizarre, weird things, and who knows what they're putting in it. And those are all absorbents. Quite often, they're absorbing up all the moisture, and anytime it's about to rain, they start flying a bunch of stuff. They have been here in California, my location, Southern California. Actually, not. We like to think of ourselves as the beginning of Central Coast California. We don't like to include ourselves with Southern California, but that's because there are a bunch of lunatics down there. Anyway, and then apparently now, if you keep going, San Francisco is a bunch of. They're even worse. So, anyways, apologize for that. Anyway, so this is coming out of Radio Free California. I've got a little list of stuff I was going to talk about today. Light in the underground. Jessie Zaboter was talking about that recently. And she's like one of the few that talk about going into the underground. And we've talked about this earlier, like the STEM, which is this gigantic, basically underground city underneath New York. And how, like, back in the 40s, Richard Shaver was writing about how this guy Bonner was running it like like a mafia would run it. And the mafia on the surface world connects to the mafia on the underworld, in the underground, literally in the underground, because that's where they got all their sort of marching orders, and also the way that they do business and their intelligence. And there's all this like unbelievable equipment down there, machinery, and it's like basically, it's all ray machines, as Richard Shaver would put it. And so these rays can do basically anything, because everything is light. We're holograms, and they can create hard light, which is they can create something all the way into existence. These ray machines that the elders built, those of Atlantis, what we would call Atlantis. So I'm going to do a show about how that's not a misnomer, but like there needs to be a separation of all these different like ages. Of There were giants because they grew to massive proportions, because they didn't have any sort of negative energy coming into their system. Like we live in a toxic soup, and most of it's on purpose. A lot of it's energetic. A lot of it's 5G and all this sort of thing. I don't know if 5G is turned on, but imagine the amount of electromagnetic current forces, fields all around us. We have an electromagnetic field, so have to keep that pure, always cleanse that. That's what Reiki's for, meditation and all that stuff. Anyway, okay, let's move on. Anyway, oh no, what I was going to say, light in the underground. Jessie Zaboter talked about light being I'm talking fast. I'm trying to get these talking points so we can get to more current events. Jessie Zaboter talked about light being in the underground. I just wanted to just touch down briefly on that. When you walk around in the underground, literally light, it lights up, the tunnels, and it lights up, and no one knows where this light's coming from. I would hazard a guess that it's luminescence. And as you get down in there, the chi is like more and more pure, and literally like photons are energized. I'm just surmising here, based on a lot of research and speculation and thought, that this it's charged. It's a charged field. That's why when people go down into the underground, the deeper they go, the less they need to eat, the more revitalized they are, and and that's a common theme that's going on down there. So light in the underground, things are lit up, and they don't need necessarily a light source because everything is just lit up. Although she does talk about uh, inner suns. I think she said one. I think she said plural, and that would be because it's pretty common technology, although it's been suppressed from us. That suns, artificial suns. We have sun simulators here on the surface, but it's all done with metal and filaments and actually I don't know. I mean, maybe LEDs and stuff like that, but it's very artificial and mechanical. Whereas I think that some of these inner suns, they had the ability to just create like a constant, maybe it's nuclear, some sort of fusion or fission, and they're able to regulate even the heat on that, like a sort of like a dimmer switch, turn it up, turn it down. That's got to be something to do with interdimensional nuclear fusion, something like that. I mean, basically, nuclear anything is my belief is that's you're cracking through dimensions and stuff. Like your nuclear bomb is like will create a fission in the scape of I'm getting kind of sideways here in the scape of reality of what we live in. It's like a fabric of reality, and then other things come in because they're living in a different frequency, and that fabric is torn. Okay, next one: God versus Source. Oh, geez, I'm trying to get through these. That's not. I just briefly touched down. The word God seems to have a lot of connotations tied up with it. So much so that I personally, and this is just me, guys, don't get down on me, but I like to use the word source. I don't know, that seems to be like a more calmer, happier word, not so many opinions tied up with it, and I can just get information from source. It loves me. It's male and female energy, whatever it needs to take on. Doesn't necessarily have to be androgynous. Sex doesn't seem to have anything to do with that, although animal magnetism is all part of it. That's a huge part of it for us. But source is just this pure, radiant, informational consciousness that we've all come from, and that we seem to be like drops in an ocean. It's the ocean. When you put a drop in the ocean, is it still a drop, or is it the ocean? Can you take a drop out? That sort of analogy. I like it. A lot of people just say God source. I mean, what's the difference? Higher intelligence. We all can agree on that, surely. Okay, next talking point: QFS and the USN. Okay, gold backed. I have it circulated. I can barely read my own notes here, guys. Okay. The QFS being gold backed. I'm not really. Whoops. Let's not do that. Okay. So what do I know about the QFS? So Charlie Ward is claiming that he is the official spokesperson of the QFS. A lot of people don't like Charlie. I love the guy. I know he's been deep in it and he's admitted it, and a lot of people try to kind of derail him. His own son. We've all heard those stories. But if you go and actually do any kind of deep dive on it, actually just scratch the surface on some of the detractors from Charlie Ward, it's pretty sordid. I mean, I don't know if I take you have to take in all that information, but his son's like, a raging drug addict and is in debt, and he's hanging out with weirdos, and because that's one of his detractors, and he's got quite a few sons. I mean, this guy's he still rides first class. I mean, I definitely listen to what Charlie has to say. You might not like the guy, but let's definitely include any and all information, and Charlie is definitely one of them. He says QFS is up and running. I believe he says it's starting to rain now, actually. Beautiful. QFS is up and running simultaneously in parallel to the old failing fiat Illuminati system, the system of the Jays, the so-called Jays, and this is a failing system, the Khazarians. Now, the USN, the United States note. Now, it was supposed to be, well, it still could be it originally years ago and all the way up until today, it was the legend of the USN was the USTN or the US Treasury note and the US note, one and the same, similar. We didn't, it's leaked information, so we're not, a million different sources trying to put it all together. But we were promised a new note. Now, if you go and search Google using Google, USN note will come up, and it will come up as rainbow currency quite often. If you look in the images, we've been talking about the rainbow currency. If you look on that currency, whether those are finalized images, they could change it. The currency will have all kinds. It will be It will be able to be tracked, surely, and verified and easily tradable. But more important, there won't be any Babylonian money magic on it. So no more Illuminati. No, it shouldn't say Federal Reserve on it. Federal Reserve being dissolved into the Treasury, hence the U.S. Treasury note. Will the Treasury stay? Well, most businesses need a treasury, so some form of that will stay, whether or not it will be the official treasury. In quotation, no, in parentheses here, I will say that quite often the white hats like to use de-evolution. They like to use the systems that have been created and totally revamp them. My opinion, I don't totally like that. I guess you got to start somewhere. My opinion is they probably will at some point get rid of them, but maybe they will just keep them, the same, and get rid of some, but keep some of these main players like the U.S. Treasury and turn it into a powerhouse of white hats. Seems that Facebook. That is one thing I was going to show us guys today, is that Facebook, it looks like, has is in some sort of, has fired a bunch of people apparently. Okay, so let's go over here to my Facebook account, and so we can see here that Facebook fires thousands of woke employees as mass censorship takes place. That was on News Punch, but I also got a couple other articles floating around apparently. So sort of validated there. Love to see that, because I had a 30-day ban for basically kind of just goofing around. And I probably should have got a 30-day ban, honestly, with the way that Facebook used to work. But instead they changed it because I appealed it, and they gave me 6 days. So for me, that was quite telling, because I was kind of pushing the envelope. I can't remember what I said, otherwise I'd tell you guys. It was something derogatory. I think I was just kind of messing with somebody. I don't think I was, actually. I can't remember. That doesn't matter. You should be able to say whatever you want. We're in a free bloody country, right? Okay, so the U.S. Sun note is now, I don't know if it's tradable. I can't seem to purchase any. It seems to be this digital dollar that's online. And the funny thing about this is the USD, US dollar, which is the technically the petrodollar, the USN is trading at, it went down. It started at 0.999999 of the USD, which is, still, in my opinion, obviously slightly less than the USD, but that's how it started. Now, this USN is supposed to be some sort of digital currency that I can't seem to find or buy. I think it's being queued up, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong here. Probably to buy as like a cryptocurrency, as what they would call a cryptocurrency, or a digital currency is what really it should be called. However, huge news on this is that it is allegedly asset backed or gold backed. Okay, so this is a huge deal, guys. We've been talking about this for quite some time. This is Jassara coming in, Trumpsara. This is the GCR, the global currency reset, the revaluation of the money, revaluation of currency, revaluation of the dollars. USN being backed by gold currency, or by gold, or mineral backed, asset ASSET backed. And it's interesting to note that the USD and USN were almost on par. It just started slightly lower, of course. I don't like that. And then continued to drop. And by drop, I mean 0.9995. I forget. I'm just kind of off. It didn't drop by much, but it is, I wouldn't say substantially, but, guys that are in cryptocurrency will look way down the line past the decimal, at the thousands in the tens of thousands range, and just to be looking at trends, and it is going down. Now, I think that's a positive thing. Why is that? Well, I'll tell you why. My opinion is based on this. The Russian ruble was the first one. They had a ruble digital currency. It was gold backed, and then everybody followed along. That's BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, all getting on board to get outside of the petrodollar that we've been pegged on, basically a monopoly. They're forcing you to choose in their currency. That way they always get a take, and that money never goes to the American people or anybody else. It goes straight to Washington, D.C., and they funnel it in through the Federal Reserve into the Vatican, and they take all our money. They've got everything. All the money comes out of there, used of course through London, and then the military, Washington, D.C. backs it up. Those are the three nation states. And it's all starting at the Vatican because it's a gigantic hole into the ground, into the underground again. The underground controls the surface world. And these hellacious satanic families that exist in the underground and on the surface. And they have, up until now, massive technology where no one could fight back. That's the whole point of the military. There was no other way. So the USN has gone down. Why is that a good thing? Because it is adjusting. The Russian ruble digital currency started at parity, as they say, with the Russian ruble, but the digital Russian ruble started to go down, and not by much. I don't even know where it's at right now, but what I can tell you is that that's showing, although I still think it's artificially suppressed and manipulated at the moment, what it's showing is it is fluctuating with the mineral market, or the precious metal market, the PM, the precious metal markets, gold, silver, platinum, titanium. Well, maybe not titanium. Actually, that's because that's a manufactured product. Okay, so that is huge news. I still can't really get to the bottom of it, and a lot of this is a few weeks old, so forgive me. The Facebook thing about firing everybody, that came out today, so that's somewhat current. Okay, XRP. Moving on to XRP, just wanted to explain it really quickly. XRP is going to be a platform. It was started, apparently, this is the legend goes, the same time as Bitcoin. Bitcoin being BTC, or baby trading currency. It's basically used for nefarious purposes, drugs, weapons, and human trafficking, ultimately child trafficking for whatever purposes. And remember, they harvest the human body, alive or dead. Maybe I don't need to get into that too much. It exists. XRP was sort of this whole GCR legend, where it was started at the same time on the sly, because that's what the white hats do. They put in back doors, and they they know what they're doing. They don't tell anybody else what they're doing, but so XRP is a platform that you would use to send money instantaneously around the world to whoever you want. And I want to say, just a few months ago, 10 months ago, I think everything else was trading. You would exchange it roughly around at least 2 or 3 minutes, possibly up to 10 or 15 minutes, whereas XRP was like 3 seconds. So it's being extremely artificially suppressed, and it's been in and out of courts at the SEC. So who knows? The XRP is a mystery, but here's my opinion in parentheses over here, is that obviously they're going to use it, get into some XRP. It's going to explode. I don't know where it's trading at today. We could look it up, but it'll just take time. I'm not going to do that.